Hello, my friends. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back. My name is Sarita. So happy to see you today, and I apologize. It has been a hot minute since I have been online, since I have reported or reviewed any candles. My work got super intense all of a sudden, and I also got sick, and I still am. You can probably hear it. It was just a really bad sinus infection, and it lasted for over a week. This is actually the first day in about a week that I felt like I'm maybe getting better. So I apologize. It probably sounds croaky, but I'm on the mend and I'm getting back there. I have been trying to burn candles the last week or so, but I had trouble smelling anything, so it probably wasn't useful to do so. But you have to make hay while the sun shines. This is the autumn. This is the fall season. I can't be down on the job. We've got to get through these candles. So I do have a backlog of candles that I'm ready to speak about, I'm ready to review, and I will get back to it as soon as my energy levels allow. Today I have one that I think is super fantastic, and it is definitely a best new candle for 2023 from Bath and Body Works, which is this one right here, Fall Forest. How lovely is that label? Yes. This is one of the cheaper $24.95 ones because, as you can see, it doesn't have a full wraparound. I've burned through quite a bit of it. So I would say 2/3 of the way through. A little bit of discoloration, but really not bad. Not a whole lot of sooting to speak of. And for the most part has burned fairly well. Toward the end here, it's not quite puny wicks, but I have to say that the wicks are burning low, which is giving me a lower strength and throw. And I think I'm going to put this in the crock at this point. I think I'm going to get a whole lot more of it from the crock because I just think that burning, unfortunately, is just not giving me the volume that I really want to get from the candle at this point. But I mean, like I said, a little bit of discoloration there, but usually I have a whole lot more discoloration at this point. This candle did not burn quite as hot as many of the Bath & Body Works candles do. So you know that if you caught my video when I initially hauled this candle, I was just verklempt because I thought it was probably one of the most fantastic, authentic, outdoor green candles from Bath & Body Works that I had ever smelled. And if I had smelled it cold or blind, not knowing that it was Bath & Body Works, I definitely would not have guessed Bath & Body Works, frankly. This is a true outdoor candle that isn't also trying to be a shower gel or a body care fragrance. It's really fantastic. I can't even say it's masculine leaning because it's really just outdoorsy. It doesn't have any of those like standard cologne kind of fragrance notes that would orient it toward more of a masculine body care kind of item, which is really nice because Bath & Body Works loves to do that, and I get it. You can get a lot more bang out of your buck for a fragrance when you can kind of cross-market it across a lot of different species of items. So the notes on the bottom for Fall Forest are forest pine needles, woodland moss, and chilly fall air. And I would say that when you smell it, that is very true. You do get a lot of pine and you get a ton of moss, and something that is herbal. And I think it might be eucalyptus, possibly, but usually when Bath & Body Works does a eucalyptus note, like you can sense it. I don't know that eucalyptus is my favorite note. And when Bath & Body Works does it, it's very cool, like almost in kind of a artificial way. Like it's just very cool and bold. So if this is a eucalyptus note, it's a very soft, muted, and perhaps botanically authentic eucalyptus, in that you get a little bit of the herbal bite of eucalyptus, but without all of the artificial cooling action. And I would have expected them to go that way because they even have chilly fall air as their last note. So you know that's probably what they were going with, is their generic like eucalyptus fall cold air kind of thing, which is fine. It's just, this is so much more restrained. I mean, this is just a sophisticated and restrained candle. Like I said, I just would never guess Bath and Body Works because I don't think, this is just not the direction that Bath and Body Works would generally go when you see a note like chilly fall air. So there is something herbal, a ton of moss, and then something coniferous, which is, I think, the pine. When burned, this candle is a complete, well, not a completely different experience, but it's a significantly different experience. And before I had burned it, Sean from Hearthside reviewed this candle because he, like me, thought it was like lightning in a bottle when he smelled it on cold. So totally thinking alike with him. We thought this was one of the best, and he loves these outdoorsy candles. We just thought it was like the bee's knees, right? But then he was disappointed when he went to his burn review and he said that he didn't like it quite as well after he had burned it. So I was kind of worried about that. And I agree with him that the burn experience on this candle is different than the cold smell. And often that's not the case. This one is. So while you get a whole lot of moss on the cold, you get even more moss when it's burned. And I said from the beginning, this is why I considered it to be a true fall candle. Some people were saying, well, it's kind of like a Christmas tree. Like, why didn't they bring this out in the holiday season? You could not bring this out. It wouldn't make any sense for Christmas because it's got so much moss in it. And there's something very damp about that moss note. Like, it evokes a cooler kind of weather, especially with the eucalyptus, but you wouldn't think moss for like, snow weather, let alone holiday season. I actually think that this moss note is very similar, if not the same moss note that is in that really spooky Halloween candle that Bath and Body Works put out, which was like the graveyard one. Midnight Graveyard? I can't remember. The really spooky smelling Halloween candle that they had with the spooky stagecoach on the front has moss in it. And I think it's the same moss note as this one. But whereas they mix it very apropos, they mix the moss note with a lot of other kind of spooky things, incense, this really weird, sickly sweet thing, to really make that moss note go super damp and earth and like just like off-putting in a Halloween way. They took this one into, it's not wet. I mean, it's not dry. Don't get me wrong. There is still something very damp and earthy about this moss, but because they have put it together with pine, there's the pine notes and the eucalyptus notes kind of cut the like really damp, like earth kind of overtones of the moss and make it a much more well-rounded green forest kind of experience. But when you burn it, it's primarily moss, and the piercing notes of the pine go away. And that's what makes it a lesser fragrance, I think, once it's burned. Because once it's burned, it's just kind of green in a generic, almost muddled kind of way. There's a lot of moss, and then there's a kind of sweet green note in it. I don't know where the sweetness necessarily is coming from. You would be tempted to say that it's a little bit floral, but I don't think it's actually floral. It kind of feels like green vine-like a little bit. And it could be the sweetness of like a juniper. And I was wondering if it wasn't eucalyptus that they used in here, I would say juniper, because juniper is going to give you not only that coniferous pine needle kind of smell, but it's also going to give you like an herbal smell. Yeah. But upon being burned, it's a lot of moss and it's a lot of vine and a little bit of herbal. but it just kind of makes it a little bit more flat. And I don't know that you want your whole house to smell like moss. That's the thing. It's a really fresh and authentic smell in a lot of ways, but I really think that if the pine, or, which would be even more brilliant, if the juniper came through more brilliantly, if at least as well as it does on cold, if not even more, so that the moss could kind of like round the fragrance out a little bit, but not be like the only thing. Because as beautiful a green note as it is, like I said, I don't know how many people are going to want to burn a sweet moss candle in their house. And I don't even know exactly what it would blend with, although there's probably things that it could. You could mix this, by the way, with a berry. I was just thinking berries or a stone fruit. If you had a candle that was, you know, plum forward, fig forward, cranberry forward, blackberry forward, anything like that, I think that this would go really well because it's giving you an amazing, authentic, botanical, green, damp kind of experience. Yeah, I just think that on cold, you're getting a bit more herbal and coniferous than you do upon it being burned. And unfortunately, that makes it not quite as good an experience once it's burned. It's still pleasant, but yeah, I just, man, if there was some way that they could punch up the coniferous, the pine, and the herbal element, and or substitute in juniper, man, it's still a best candle though. It's still great. Strength and throw, I would say was 7. It's a strong 7, which is fine and great given that it's a fairly authentic green botanical scent. I mean, to amplify a scent like that, it takes a lot without like subtracting some of that authenticity. And so I would say it's a strong 7, and the throw is at least a 7, if not a 7.5. Now, down in here where it's been burning not quite as high, I would say the last few burns, I've been getting more like a 6 from it. And I don't really want a 6 of moss in my house. I think I'm gonna throw it in the crock and see if I can get it back up to like a 7.5 or even higher. And then kind of really enjoy the fullness of the fragrance a little bit more. And maybe some of those herbal pine elements will come out a little bit more once it's pumped up as well. So there you go. It's got a lovely lid, by the way. Isn't that nice? Best new candle 2023 for Bath and Body Works. It's not gonna dislodge the front runner, which is far and away pink lavender and espresso from January, but it's a really strong showing and an unexpected showing for the fall season. Candle sale going on right now at Bath and Body Works today and probably for a few more days. It's like $12.95, and they just sent out a whole rash of candles, coupons. So 25% are definitely flooding the consumer demographic right now. So if you're one of those lucky ones with that 25%, I don't think you're gonna get better than this. Head to the store. I would link this online, but I think it's sold out online currently, or at least, I mean, it may reappear, but yeah, it's sold out currently, but you probably will have some still in the store. So head to your store, pick this baby up for like, $9-10. It's really fantastic. I'll catch you in the next one.